Right, I'm calling the meeting of the Ventura County Campaign Finance Ethics Committee to order. The first order on our agenda is the official swearing in of our new commissioner, Elise Lazar. And welcome.
Thank you. Please raise your right hand. I, Roberta Rodriguez,
I, Elise Lazar,
do solemnly swear or affirm that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California against all enemies, foreign and domestic, that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of California, that I take this obligation freely without any mental reservation or purpose of evasion, and that I will well, and faithfully discharge the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Thank you. Roll call.
Should I just say here? Here.
I'm here.
Commissioner Jones,
Here.
Commissioner Lazar,
Here.
Commissioner Tomac, here, and Commissioner Renee.
Here. The next item is the agenda review. Are there any suggestions for revision by the staff or the commission?
There are no staff changes to the agenda.
And I'm assuming there are no commission changes. The approval of the minutes of the meeting of September 14th, 2007. Has everyone had an opportunity to review the minutes? And, actually I'm looking at this and the minutes indicate September 28th. The agenda indicates the 14th.
That looks like a typo to me. And I believe, let me look.
I think it was the
at-
14th, wasn't it?
It would have been a Friday, so. Roberta, do you have a calendar there?
I do, and I'm looking right now. It was the 14th.
It was the 14th.
Well, Friday was, wait a minute, no, I think it was the 28th. Yeah, it was the 28th.
Okay, so the agenda is incorrect.
All right, so we'll modify the agenda to reflect September 28th, 2007. And hearing no changes or
So we're back to agenda review, I think.
We're back to agenda review. There's a speaker card for from Carol D. Williams for agenda review.
I thought you were on the approval of the minutes.
Well, I was, Mr. Williams, but I did not have your speaker card for item number 4.
You've already approved the agenda.
Well, actually, Madam Chair, because we did make a change to the agenda title on item, the minutes reflecting the 14th, we will need to address that under agenda review.
All right.
On page 3 of the minutes, it has me down as asking me to refrain from using inappropriate language. That is false. I've never used inappropriate language here. I'd like for you to identify your accusation of me using inappropriate language.
Mr. Williams, I am not going to repeat the language that you've used during the course of this commission meeting because it was vulgar and inappropriate.
So you're going to let false minutes stand?
Carol, where are you referring to?
On page 3, the first paragraph about the about the fifth sentence up from the bottom of the first paragraph. Vice Chair Renier reminds Mr. Williams that he has the opportunity now to address agenda item number 9 and ask him to refrain from using inappropriate language, unquote.
Okay. I don't see an accusation there that you had ever used inappropriate language.
So I agree.
So, okay.
I've
the
never
problem?
used inappropriate language.
So what's the problem?
Pardon?
So what's the problem? She's not accusing you in there of using inappropriate language. She just asked you to refrain from it.
Oh, refrain. Well, refrain means usually you're doing something you won't stop.
Well, but that's your interpretation. I don't see any accusation there.
Okay, so could we have the minute clarified that Mr. Williams did not use it, so there's no need to...
That's not what she said. All she did was ask you to refrain, and then and the minutes accurately reflect that.
I think she's confused on what she said.
Well, I'm not.
Well, as I see it now, the minutes remain as indicated. I see no need to make any modification of that particular sentence in the minutes.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
I actually have two typos that I found in the minutes that should probably be corrected as
All
well. On page 2, the heading Agenda Item 7, it says case number, and then it says 2008-10. That should have been 2006-10.
Thank you.
And then on page 3, Agenda Item 10, a similar typo, but in the third line down, it should be case number 2006-8.
All right. Any further modifications to the minutes? Then, yes, do we? As modified, do we have a second?
I'll second.
All in favor? Okay, the minutes have been approved. The next item are public comments. And if there are no public comments, we will move on to... Mr. Dean. Williams.
Carol Dean Williams, since this is the ending of this year and the new year, I want to confess that I've been violating the campaign ordinance, and no one is brave enough to file a complaint on me. So I'm asking you to put it on your agenda, and I want to confess that I've been raising money in violation of the ordinance. I've been doing everything that I can do to violate this ordinance, and no one wants to hold me accountable. So does this commission want to hold me accountable? I've been accepting contributions, but I don't know what that word accepting means, and it's not defined in the ordinance. So what are you going to do about it? You're going to take some action? This ordinance is supposed to have some penalties to it, and this could just be a relative minor violation. So what do you think this commission should do? I believe it can put a complaint on its agenda, on its own motion. So I'm here to confess and own up to it, and see if you'll hold me accountable. See if you'll hold me accountable. And the people are telling me the people want poetry. People speak while I am on the campaign trail. I'm a candidate for supervisor First District. Williams, you need to write poetry. Who else can deliver the campaign ordinance hail? I want to confess, to set the record straight, I haven't had time to read them poetry to remind them they are such fakes. People want poetry. I now hear their cries. Yes, I will now write poetry of the campaign ordinance in all their lies. I want to acknowledge the people who spoke. My ears are now tuned to write poetry along the lines of these 4 jokes. People want poetry. They
You have 5
didn't
seconds.
like the quotes. Steve Bennett cheated.
Your time is up.
Can I
Thank
finish
you.
my statement?
Your time is up. Thank you. Number 7. Are there further public comments? Item number 7. Commission members' comments. All right. I don't believe we have any. Let's address the regular agenda. Number 8 is the recommendation for dismissal of case number 2007-03. Mr. Steele.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the Commission. We're recommending that case number 2007-03, which is a late filing case, be dismissed with the direction to staff to send a warning to the respondent regarding filing deadlines. This is a case of a semi-annual campaign statement that was due at the end of July, filed near the end of September. The filer paid the late filing penalty that is imposed by state law for that late filing. The Elections Division filed a complaint based on the filing of the electronic version of the report the next day. In fact, although the report was filed late, the electronic filing did comply with the ordinance's 24-hour deadline for electronic filing. And so on that basis, and because of the fact that the filer did pay the late filing penalty of $100, we're recommending that this case be dismissed with the direction of staff to send a warning to the respondents so there is a record in the file of a history of an enforcement action. And with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any questions by the commission?
I did have one question. Why are we sending a warning letter if this has already been taken care of? It doesn't seem like, I mean, what would be the substance of the letter?
The substance of the letter would merely be a reminder from the county of the filing deadlines and the importance of the filing deadlines, including the electronic filing deadline. Under state law, there is no warning mechanism. The $10 per day up to $100 fine is paid, but there is no warning mechanism. So we believe it's would be worthwhile to at least have a letter to the PAC indicating that the filing deadlines are in place and should be complied with.
Any further comments? Yes? All right, so Ms. Tomek has moved for the approval of the recommendation. Is there a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay, recommendation has been approved. Agenda item number 9, recommendation for setting of evidentiary hearing, case number 2006-4, Ventura County Citizens for Full-Time Supervisor, again, per Mr. Steele's recommendation.
And if I might suggest, Madam Chair, items 8 and 9 are the same complaint, the same case. There are 2 different complaints for the same violation, so if we could take both of those together.
Yes, please.
We're recommending that the Commission schedule a full evidentiary hearing on this incident in the hopes that that will help us to spur a resolution. This is, in fact, the last case that's left from the first sort of round of enforcement actions before the commission, so we're hoping that having a hearing actually scheduled will spur a resolution of the matter, but we are prepared to come before you on these violations. I think Dell probably has the calendar available.
We're looking at trying to schedule this with Mr. Steele's schedule as well as the commission members. And what we're hoping for is something in early February in terms of scheduling a hearing. We haven't checked the availability of the boardroom yet, but if we're going to keep the schedule that the commissioners generally prefer, which is a Friday around the lunch hour, we have available either Friday, February 1st or Friday, February 8th, and then the middle of the month would be the 15th. So those are the 3 Fridays that we will check to see the availability of the room, and perhaps the commissioners can indicate if any of those would be a conflict for you that you might be aware of.
Would you like us to do that now?
If you have an opportunity.
I would not be available the 1st of February.
Okay, we'll rule that one out.
Thank you.
That helps.
You know, remember the trial?
Yes.
I'm still trailing on that, on
Okay.
4 hours notice, so I prefer maybe the 8th.
Okay, so we'll start with the 8th and then look at the 15th, see if the room is available for scheduling of a hearing, and then we'll also, I assume, Mr. Steele will coordinate with the attorney for the respondents to determine which of those dates would work the best for them as well.
And again, this being one matter for which 2 complaints were filed, it would be 1 hearing basically
Yes.
on the same set of facts. So it should be fairly efficient.
Very good. And this matter has come before us.
It
Early
has
on.
come before a member of the commission for probable cause some time ago, but we have not yet come before you with any formal action.
All right. Any questions of the commission?
One that was eliminated by someone was what?
The 1st of February was eliminated. Thank you for your time, Mr. Steele.
Thank you. A motion to that effect, please.
Call for a motion to, for the recommendation for setting of the evidentiary hearing.
Could we take 9, 10, and 11 all at once, since we need to schedule
Nine.
the scheduled next commission meeting, and that's number 11 on our agenda?
I think we need to do a separate motion for 9 and 10 with regard to Mr. Steele's recommendation. So if I could have a motion.
Also,
A second? All in favor of approving Mr. Steele's recommendation for setting an evidentiary hearing on either the 8th or the 15th of February?
Aye.
All in favor? All right. The motion passes. It appears as though we've gone through our agenda, with the exception of scheduling our next commission meeting.
And other than these 2 cases still pending with Mr. Steele, there are no other outstanding complaints pending at the moment.
So that would mean that most logically our next commission meeting will either be the 8th or the 15th of February.
Correct.
Very good. If there are no other matters to be raised, this meeting is adjourned. Thank you all.
Thank you.